Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Batman and the DCU is in an interesting state. James Gunn has had some kind of commentary about whether they were going to pull Robert Pattinson into the DCU. But now we've also learned that... So that was interesting anyway. But now we've learned that Andy Muschietti, the director, or was supposed to be the director, of Batman the Brave and the Bold, that film's now postponed as well, indefinitely at this stage, and he's likely just to do another film in between. So there's some really interesting stuff going on with DC. You can kind of see that the speculation that James Gunn wants to bring Robert Pattinson into his DCU with this delay, you can see that speculation has merit, at least on face value. It's interesting stuff. Now, I'm not saying there is any merit there. I'm not saying that that is something that they're going to do. There were some reports of that, and James Gunn has spoken about it. But we're going to take a look at two pieces of Batman news today. The Andy Muschietti stuff, which I've already said. But we're also going to look at Matt Reeves giving us an update on the Batman as well. The Batman 2. And sort of the state of Gotham. Because it is interesting. So hit subscribe, ladies and gents, if you are a returning viewer and you're not already subscribed. Would appreciate it. Anyway, so here's the first one, right? Here's the first one. Matt Reeves gives an update on the Batman 2 and Batman's new morals. It's not really new morals, by the way. It's not really new. So we'll scroll through this, and it just says the Batman Part 2 scheduled to release in October of 2026, nearly 4 years after the release of the first movie. Robert Pattinson will suit up as the Caped Crusader to patrol Gotham at least once more after the Batman Part 2. Batman Part 2 will pick up right where the Penguin left off. Fucking love the Penguin. Such a good show. There's still flooding in the streets of Gotham due to Riddler's explosive plot, creating an even greater separation between the rich and the poor. On top of that, it is winter, and all that water will start to freeze. So Matt Reeves spoke to Digital Spy in an interview, which is detailed below, which we'll get to in a minute. So, yeah, basically starts to say how Bruce Wayne's view on things in Gotham has changed. So he says the following. There's a lot of unrest, and there's a lot of clamoring because of the revelations of what we find out at the end of the first movie. There's unrest in the streets to say, well, how could this be? The idea that this corruption extends as deep as it extends. In the first movie, Batman views things very simplistically. He sees things in black and white, what he can represent and how he can affect that. Now he says this about the moral code. As we enter into the next movie, there's a lot more grey. There's a lot more people at odds. There's a lot more division in the city. It's a lot more like our world is now. There's a lot of turmoil because people are in their camps and they're not communicating. How does Batman fit into that? Where do you fit? It's not as clear as going, oh yeah, bad guy, I go after bad guys. And when things are in grey, it makes it very hard to be Batman. So this is part of the challenge as we enter it. So there's that. I think that's quite interesting. I think like a sort of a black and white Batman in terms of the moral code is great. It's good to have those boundaries. Same as Superman, right? Superman has that. But what has made those characters interesting, always, is when those characters are forced into an area which makes they themselves question their moral sort of fortitude, right? Their strength of conviction. And it pushes them into the grey. Good writers have managed to do this periodically for Batman and Superman. They've managed to push them into that grey area. Now, I don't know whether Matt Reeves is going to be one of those writers, whether he's going to be able to do that or not. But it does make those characters very compelling when Batman and Superman are pushed into the greys. So, there you go. It is interesting. So, just as an FYI, Matt Reeves has commented previously on the Batman as well. and just said where Batman is going to be. You know, he's sort of blaming himself for what has happened in the first movie. And then, yeah, it's just going to be struggling, basically. But then we have this. The Flash director Andy Muschietti says his DCU Batman movie, The Brave and the Bold, has been postponed. Now, that's an indefinite delay. That is an indefinite delay. So there's a few things I think which are important to, I don't know, consider with this news. James Gunn has said, hey, Superman has to be successful. We're not making anything else until Superman is successful. If it's not successful, it doesn't make money. Yeah, nah. Which makes a lot of sense. It's interesting that he's come out and saying it though. But it is certainly interesting. So we'll take a look, because this being delayed, plus the news of the potential consideration at one point that Robert Pattinson could be folded into the DCU. It's interesting. It is interesting. So in a new interview, Muschietti was asked where things stand with The Brave and the Bold and responded, quote, "The Batman, The Brave and the Bold project has been postponed a little bit, so I might do another film before that." What do you mean a little bit? You've not given any other date. You've just gone, yes, postponed. No, that's an indefinite delay. If you're able to do another movie in between that, that's an indefinite delay. Now, in fairness, I don't think this movie ever actually had a release date. So it's not like it's being delayed that egregiously. It's just been delayed, isn't it? But it is fascinating stuff. It is certainly interesting that these things are just happening now. It's the culmination of various bits and bobs. Doesn't mean the DCU's like in turmoil or anything like that, but it is interesting. And this article notes, yeah, it does suggest that the movie's a long way off becoming a reality. It's highly unlikely The Brave and the Bold will open anywhere near each other in 2026. Now they say that could be the intention. I doubt it. I didn't think it had a release date, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did. So there you go. That says this: as of now, the script clearly isn't where it needs to be. We know Gunn won't move forward with any DCU movies or TV shows until he's 100% happy with what's on the page. And this is where the interview's from, by the way. So there you go. What do you say? I don't know. It's interesting stuff. I do think the Batman Part 2 is so long off. It's a bit unfortunate, really. They should have jumped on it and capitalised a bit more. We have had the Penguin in between, which is good, though. Penguin's such a great show. They definitely need to make another one. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Let me know down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.